By today's standards, wouldn't the Beatles and Michael Jackson be considered weak men despite them being adored by women?
In today's society, yeah, they'd be considered weak, yeah.
Really? I don't know if I agree with that. That's a good question. With Michael Jackson and the Beatles, let's throw in Prince there too. Why not, right? Because Prince was very much more of a flamboyant heterosexual man, right? Prince would definitely be looked at as the weakest out of the three examples. Michael Jackson, I don't think Michael Jackson would ever be looked at as weak. Hello, welcome back to another episode here on this beautiful Friday. Shiny, I always say it's a beautiful day because it is a beautiful day. We're here, you're here, you're looking at the channel, and I'm your host on The Bridge Reacts, Marcus. Thank you for stopping by to see another episode here where we're talking about, bridging the gap between men and women and relationships, making sure they're stronger, making sure that we can have long-lasting relationships, decreasing the divorce rate and decreasing the chances of us not being productive and not really uplifting ourselves as a community. Welcome. If you like the vibe, please subscribe. Thank you so much for looking at the last episode. If you already checked it out, talking about our parents, big shout out to the parents out there. We really appreciate you. Thank you for raising us and being there to instill some kind of discipline and showing us real love. Thank you, parents. Today's topic, we are talking about something a little bit different from the channel, well known as It's Complicated, the It's Complicated channel. Weak men. That is today's topic. What are weak men? What is the definition of a weak man? Right? Let's go ahead and look at the video. If you like his content as well, It's Complicated channel, please check out the channel and their content. And let's go ahead and get started. Let's get straight to it.
If being a masculine man means accepting the burden of others, why would anyone want to be a man by that definition?
Where did that definition come from?
You tell me.
Man-made.
Does society shame men more for being strong and masculine, or does it shame men more for being weak?
Definitely shames men more for being weak. I mean, I think women just expect a man to be masculine and the leader.
It shames men for being weak, and that's a good thing.
Shaming them for being weak, for sure.
Why do people think that society shames men more for being strong and masculine than it shames men for being weak?
Because it's like a social construct that men are supposed to be tough and like not have feelings, and that they're not allowed to have the same vulnerabilities as women.
Weak, to me.
Do I think, just kind of pause it just for a second. Do I think that society shames men for being weak, or does society shame men for being too masculine these days? That's actually a really good question. And that's one of the main reasons why I actually love this channel. I'm gonna start reacting to it more, especially if I'm doing content back to back like this. Things have shifted. We used to shame men for being too weak for the longest time, and then there was a shift, and I'm sure you've noticed the shift if you're paying attention, that men have been shamed for being masculine. And even today in 2024, in August 2024, it feels as though there's a little bit of both. It's not, I don't want to say it's equally shamed, but like, I think when it all goes down, it all boils down to like when things fall apart, when the world is going to like it kind of seems to be going to right now, we are definitely going to shame weaker men at the end of the day, because tough times create strong men. And if you're not a strong man in those tough times,
that's too damn bad. You keep digging.
You're gonna be looking crazy out here. So I think ultimately, society's gonna shame weaker men for sure, overall.
It doesn't mean how much you can lift. It means how strong you are from the inside.
I mean, I think a strong man is confident in who he is, but people are kind of getting more and more attacked for that, so it's hard to be confident in who you are if you feel like you're going to get hate for it.
What constitutes a weak man versus a strong man?
Their feminine energy, how much they lean into their feminine and how much they embrace their masculine.
Like two different sets of lips here. Sorry. I'm just like, what's going on here? She's right though.
Yeah, because the weak men be acting like a bitch.
99% of America think that a weak man is one that has more emotions or is a little bit more emotional and expresses his feelings more. I see a weak man as someone who doesn't share their emotions or doesn't know how to communicate them or doesn't really know how to process them in a way.
A weak man is...
I think you can be vulnerable to a degree, not being, defenseless and allowing people to walk over you, but to allow people in to a degree or be open. I think that does not make you weak. I do agree that that does make you stronger if you're able to do that, but you can also do that in a very weak way, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, it depends on how you do it, not necessarily what you did, right?
Someone that, or a weak person, doesn't have enough strength to stand up for themselves and their opinions and their rights.
A weak man has no belief in God.
Why don't we have the...
Okay, coming in through with the bars. Okay. Gonna go ahead and give a couple little from Joe Budden on that one.
Most women do stand up for themselves.
It's like when women have emotions, they get like a pass, like, oh, like that's a woman, they think with emotion, and they can't really, like, they're more emotional in a sense.
Does a woman have to be a feminist or masculine to be considered strong?
No.
I feel like that's something that has to do with what's being portrayed and what's being put on to the women. You got to be like this in order to be a strong woman. You got to be like this to be a strong man.
He's got it.
So the women are taking back their strong. That's what I'm saying. The women are taking over.
Why don't we have those same stipulations for women?
We do, but it's in reverse. A woman needs to lean more into her feminine versus her masculine. They talk all the time about a masculine woman. We get equally hated as weak men.
By today's standards, wouldn't the Beatles and Michael Jackson be considered weak men despite them being adored by women?
In today's society, yeah. They'd be considered weak, yeah.
Really? I don't know if I agree with that. That's a good question. With Michael Jackson and the Beatles, let's throw in Prince there too. Why not, right? Because Prince was very much more of a flamboyant heterosexual man, right? Prince would definitely be looked at as the weakest out of the three examples. Michael Jackson, I don't think Michael Jackson would ever be looked at as weak. He wasn't flamboyant. He was more like just very flashy and just like out there, almost like metrosexual, if that makes sense. If you know what metrosexual, if you don't know, then Marcus throw it on the screen. But yeah, I don't think he would be considered weak. Then again, I'm not a woman. I can't really determine that, but I wouldn't have thought he was per se weak. If anything, he was probably because he was trying to, stand up for what's right in the music industry and all the satanic weird shit that's going on. Anyways.
Why is that?
I think because they're not like super masculine. They're like a little feminine.
At the end of the day, everybody's going to look at them for their music. And when their music comes into play, nobody's thinking that they're weak.
Music. I really, I think one of the reasons that musicians are so attractive because they can be vulnerable, and I think that men need to see that and need to see that they should be able to do that. And for some reason, when you hold a piece of wood that makes music and you have a microphone and you have a voice that people can identify with, you can be vulnerable. But when you're just a regular person, you can't. And I don't know why that is. And hopefully we can change that.
Why don't women shame each other for being weak the same way men shame each other for being weak?
Men do that?
They call each other simps and beta males all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, that you got me with that one. I think that
women tend to support each other more than men do.
Face value, I think women support each other more. I think face value, but then again, correct me if I'm wrong, ladies. Y'all be fake as hell. Not all y'all, not all y'all. Y'all be fake as hell. Y'all pretend to support a lot of each other, And again, a lot of guys do that too. Sure, it's a very feminine kind of vibe if you're doing that, like that snake weird, like just stand on your 10 toes. If you don't like somebody, just admit that.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know.
That's the problem that we have as men. It's a competition with us. We want to be better than the next man. With women, they uplifting each other, and that's why they're gaining their feminism. They're gaining that back because they're learning to stop beefing with one another. That's what guys do. We beef trying to be better.
For the most part, yes, us men, we do. We understand there is a competition. I mean, that's the reality of the situation. I guess that's the testosterone. That's just the masculinity aspect of it. Let's get to my final thoughts. The video's getting a little long. I'm gonna chop some of this stuff out, but my final thoughts, right? Weak men. There's plenty of those out. One of the main reasons why we have so many weak men, in a sense, We are going through tough times, but the times aren't as tough as they're going to be. I'm assuming very soon they're going to be worse, and easier times create weaker men. I think we are at the precipice of the beta men. There's a plethora of them, and it seems as though, to a degree, that's almost championed, which is weird. Like it's cool to be the man feminist. It's cool to be the cuck in a sense. Like apparently it's cool. It's not. You get a lot of support for it, but then women aren't that attracted to you. And that's kind of the thing. Like, not a lot of ladies gravitate towards a man who doesn't stand on business, literally. Doesn't stand on what he says, what he means, doesn't speak up for himself, doesn't defend himself, doesn't defend anyone else around him that knows that, something's going on and he should step in. Someone who doesn't have any morals or values. Women don't typically gravitate towards those type of men. And you see a lot of these men out here these days who pretend to be, some kind of earner or quote unquote masculine figure, but behind closed doors, they're not that. I mean, the money doesn't unlame you. You having like big muscles and stuff like that, but then you still acting like the Ninja Turtle we talked about a couple videos ago doesn't still unlame you. I'm not trying to say these individuals are automatically weak, but kind of like what one of those guys said earlier, like it is mental as well. It's not all about just physical strength. It is mental strength. I have my own battles with that mental strength and dedication and stuff like that, and just being more driven to stay on task, stay on my purpose. And that's why we're doing videos back to back now, because I'm on my purpose. We're doing that now. What would you say is a weak man? What would you consider a strong man? And do you think there is too many men out here who are truly weak versus them being more masculine, strong men? And it's not just because you're a masculine, strong man, you got to be a dick about it and be an asshole.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
You can still be class A, masculine man who cares about his community, his people, his family, and himself, right? I think that's what makes a strong man. But you can tell me what you think. And if you like the video, please subscribe, hit the like button, and notification bell as well. And check out It's Complicated, amazing content. We only got like 4 minutes in this video out of 16 minutes and 19 seconds. Again, I'm trying to make these shorter so I can make more because I'm editing and doing all this by myself. So I need your help to promote all this, the channel, if you like what you see, and share it with all your friends and family members. And let's have these discussions. Please join us in the comment section and let me know what you think. And I will see you tomorrow because we're going to keep going, keep pressing on.